Hello everyone, welcome to Blue Dragon Actual. So hopefully all of you are done with your exam, and I just hope that those exams went well. Now, since the exams are over, just take some time off, and I hope you are relaxing, right? Or you are probably preparing for the India exam. So if you are also preparing for the India exam, then at least take 15 days time off. That will only help you. Otherwise, if you are just moving from one paper to another paper, you will you'll find it difficult. Soon you might lose interest, whatever, however your paper has been. And the second important point that I would like to highlight, that I personally follow, is never discuss solution. I have seen few coaching centers posting solutions like CS2 solution, CS1 solution. They're just doing some marketing, technique to just grab your attention and to show that they know more, but that is actually hurting you. Don't follow, don't go into such things or discussions. Don't even open the video, to be very honest, because 3 months down the line you'll have the result, you'll have every solution available. Then you can analyze, right? Why, what is the need? You can't change the paper that you have written right now, right? So it will just create mental stress for you, and people have kind of stooped very low to gain your attention, right? So just be careful, just be cautious. Don't get, maybe flabbergasted by something like this, right? So today's topic is related to actual papers. Since we are at that stage where we will be planning for what paper to attempt next, I think this is the video that will help you tremendously. Also, we'll talk about the paper combinations, right? And also this, that's why I'm calling this actual paper Bible. All the combinations, all the strategies, the time frame, which paper to start, which paper to finish. I think everything is covered in this video. So please pay attention to this video. And once again, if you like the content of this channel, please hit the like button. For last couple of weeks, I was sharing motivational and kind of inspirational videos, but we are back to the real, or the concept oriented videos from today, right? And also there is a special announcement that will happen tomorrow, so wait for that. And yeah, that will be a very short video, but I hope that you like that announcement. So moving on. The first topic that I'd like to highlight is the order of papers. Now, this is my own judgment, and I think there is a lot of you know analysis that I've done and made it. I personally have not followed this order because there was no one to guide me at that point of time. But I think if you follow this order, and if you are just starting out, actually, I think you should follow this order, and it would help you tremendously to also to clear the paper at a faster pace and also to be job ready, right? So the first paper that I'd like to probably highlight is CM1 or CS1. Why? Because these are the papers that is required to write to get non-membership. Like, you can write this paper as a non-member in IFOA and you can get admission through this paper, right? In India, if you have to gain admission, you have to write asset. Now you can search my channel. There will be ways of getting admission for India, whatever ways there that is there for IFOA, even SOA that is given in my channel. You can just browse through my videos and you will find those, right? And you in the IFOA video, you'll see that CM1 and CS1 are the most important paper or starting paper, because if you can write this paper as a non-member, and if you write this paper as a non-member, you will be able to, if you clear this paper, you will be able to gain the full-fledged membership in IFOA, right? In India, you have to write asset, which is the entrance exam, but in IFO, you don't require that. So if you just clear this paper, you can write the future papers, right? And that will also tell you whether you have the ability, the skill set to kind of clear an actual paper. If you can clear this, obviously you can clear other papers. These are right now, these are for our time, it was CT1, but CM1 is slightly more difficult as compared to CT1, because CT1 and CT5 are combined, and there is an Excel paper here, right? And CS1, I believe there is some R coding there. So these are not that easy to crack. So if you have cleared this, then obviously you know something and you can clear further papers, right? Next, your paper should be CS2 or followed by CM2. Why CS2? Because if you have cleared CM1 or CS1, right? So then, or probably if you are entering into, so CS2 is a paper that I'll suggest after CS1, right? So if your first paper is CS1, then you can start CS2. If your first paper is CM1, then probably you can start with CM2, right? That would be the order, right? Otherwise, if you are clearing CS1 and then CM1, uh, considering the order, because CM1 and CS1 are the most important papers, right? You need these papers for the future papers. So I think that should be your first two paper. And depending on that, if you have already studied CS1, then you can start CS2. Because CS2 is the general insurance paper, the things that we do in general insurance that is required there. So that is why CS2 is very, very important from a job perspective if you are interested in general insurance. Similarly, CM1 is a life insurance paper. It is very, very important from life insurance perspective. If you ask me, I have interviewed hundreds and maybe thousands of people in the last 3 years, and I have seen that they lack basic concept of CM1. They have cleared papers, but they lack basic concepts of CM1. And especially in the last 2 years in the COVID situation, when people have started cheating, this is one of the problem that we have faced, especially while hiring. So you need to be very, very cautious about that. But your next paper should be CS2 and CM2. Now, these are the CM2 is the investment based paper, stock market related, investment related paper. These are the tough papers, right? CM1, CS1, CS2, CM2. These are the tough papers of the lower papers. And if you are done with this, I mean, I think yeah, you can say that you have done something, right? So these are tough papers, and probably your knowledge would improve a lot, right? And once again, CM1 and CS2 are very, very important, right? And CS1 overall is important because its application is required everywhere. It is somewhere it is probably required in CM1, somewhere it is required in CS2, CM2 as well, right? So that's why these four papers are very, very important, and this should be the like these four papers should be your first four papers, and you should try and attempt these papers and clear those papers, and probably take time while clearing those papers. Finally, you should move on to the CV series where you can combine this paper with CP2 and CP3. Now, CP2 and CP3 are practical papers, and we'll see more details. CV series has three papers: CV1, CV2, CP3. CP3 is a kind of a assignment type based paper, and there is a multiple paper, so it is done in multiple stages, and you can probably easily clear that paper. CB1 is the account paper, CB2 is the economics paper, right? So those are not that difficult papers. CB1 from India is slightly difficult because the accounting questions are not asked from the material that is given, but from UK it is not that difficult, and you can easily combine this paper with CP2. But do not combine CP2 or CP3 with CM1, CS1, CS2, CM2. But there is a condition in which you can do that. I will tell that in the later part of the presentation, right? But ideally, you should take these first four papers individually and move on to CB series. You can combine, right? Once again, I already mentioned this. CM1 and CS2 are the most important papers for getting job because CM1 is based on life insurance, CS2 is based on general insurance, and like those are the like as a fresher, you'll be asked question on these papers only, right? So that's why these are very, very important papers, and you need thorough concept in this paper. That's why you need to study this paper very, very uniformly and very, very well. Should not study it from a perspective of passing the exam, but should study it from understanding every concept that is written there. And that is what is lacking in today's actuaries, younger generations. Perfect papers for combo. So the best paper for combining with other papers is CP2 and CP3. These are practical papers. You need not study any book. I think someone few days back, one of my colleagues is asking, there is some book available in IFO. Should I download it? It's just completely stupid and foolish to do that, right? I'll use some harsh word, but it's completely stupid and foolish to do that. Never download anything for CP2 and CP3. You need to solve question papers. See, of course, someone is teaching you how to solve papers, that you can download or that you can check. But otherwise, never download any material for CP2 and CP3, right? You just need Excel skill. You just need to understand the problem and you need to model those in Excel. Right? For CP2 and CP3, it's a communication paper. Your conceptual clarity of your own conceptual clarity should be there so that you can explain it in a simplified manner depending on the audience that you choose, right? So never start CP2 and CP3 months before the exam. Now, even today I saw an advertisement by a coaching center saying that start CP2 and CP3, right? So it's 3-4 months before exam. If you start it now, you will forget CP2, CP3 by the time the exam appears. Once again, it is stupid and foolish to do so. Don't do that. Start CP2 maybe 1.5 months before, and CP, because it's slightly difficult, you need to solve 3 or 4 question paper, right, to get that maybe understanding and skill. And CP3 practically requires 1 month approximately. In fact, to be honest with you, I cleared CP2 maybe on first CP2 CP3 both cleared both this paper in first attempt, and CP2 I cleared with I think maybe 15 days of preparation, and for CP3 I studied only for 6 days. But before that I had around maybe yeah, 4 years of work ex that helped me. But I mean, beyond more than 1 month, someone starting CP2, CP3 exam 3 months before is just wasting his personal time. Should never do that. You should wait before, just before the exam, because you need to plan things accordingly, right? And you need those skills just few days before the exam so that you can replicate those skills, and then probably those skills are not that important or relevant. But I mean, never start this 3 months before. It's like people are just asking lock your people are just trying to lock your money for them, and that's why they come up with such strategies. Best time to start for CP2 or CP3, as I mentioned, 1.5 months. I have taken a prudent estimate, right? But if you would still want to start early, thinking that something might go wrong, right? Then start 1.5 months. That is enough, and 1 month for CP3 more than enough. Be cautious if you want to attempt this paper before CS1 and CM1, because these are the papers which are kind of the base of CP2, right? CS2, CM2, I'll also suggest maybe clear the first four papers, then only combine your papers. Before that, do not look for combination, but these two papers are the ideal papers for combinations, right? You can combine this with other papers that will weaken your paper clearing process. And as I mentioned, you only require to study this for 1.5 months. That is, from that viewpoint also, you require less time to prepare for these papers, right? If you are, for example, if you are studying for SP2 and you are studying for CP2, right? So you can start SP2 maybe 1 month after the India exam is over, or maybe 15 days after the India exam is over, and then you can start, maybe CP2 after your SP2, study is over. Now you are solving just questions in SP2, and then you can study CP2, right? Both the paper can be done at the same time. But if you study CP2 right now, then by the time the exam would be there, the skills that you require for CP2 exam, you'll forget it. And CP3 definitely will forget it, right? But CP2 is still relevant because you will be doing those work. If you are working, you will be working on those things on office. But for CP3, will completely forget. So that's why you have to remember when to start. And people would like to take your money and lock in your money. People would not like you to register to other coaching center. That's why they will come up with registration at this point of time. But you have to understand, as a person, this is not important for you to understand. Live your life, go some places, so maybe chill with your friends. That is also very, very important, because your life is like, there is only one life, right? Moving on. Perfect papers for combining CB1 and CP3, as I mentioned, that when you end your first four papers of CM1, CS1, CS2, CM2, go for CB1 and combine it with CP3. Already those four papers are very difficult. So right, you already have the skill set, you know that. Now this paper will be much easier for you, and you can clear two papers. So CB1 and CP3, because CB1 is a accountancy paper, right? So you have to solve balance sheet and P&L statement. So in that you can combine CP3, which is more theoretical, and would, like, you can give the entire focus to CP1, and for CP3 you would just need maybe some of the weekends, right? Another combination is CB2 and CP3 and CP2. So CB2 is a macroeconomics paper. It once again is multiple choice sort of paper, and it is theoretical as well. So you can combine that with CP2 or CP3, and that would because CB2 on its own is not that difficult paper to, especially to clear, and you can combine that with CP3 and CP2, and you can clear two papers on the same attempt. And your first maybe 2 months, your focus should be on the papers, the main papers, which is CB1 and CB2 in this case. And for the next 1.5 months, you can concentrate on this paper as well, when the first paper, the study material is finished for the first paper, and you are kind of concentrating on the the final the questions, right? However, if you are attempting CM1, suppose unfortunately you have failed in the first attempt, or you are failed in the second attempt, then you can combine CM1 and CP2, because you have already studied the paper once, right? So CP2 you can only take when you are doing the questions of a paper, right? When you are not stuck in understanding that paper, then you can't take CP2. Similarly, you can also take CS1 and CP3, right? And then you can combine that. Now CM1 and CP2 combination is also, there is another merit, because CM1 has an Excel paper. So CP2 is also based on Excel. That will help you, right? CS1 and CP3. That's why I have not combined CS1 and CP2, but CM1 and CP2, because you are gaining a skill which is kind of required to be which you can leverage in both the ways, right? In CM1 and CP2 as well. CS1 and second attempt, you can combine that with CP3, but remember it is second attempt, it is not the first attempt, right? If you are smart, if you think you are smart enough and you'll be combining CS1 and CP3, you can clear that, but you will not gain the concept, right? Or if you, until and unless you are extra sort of hardworking and extra genius at the same time, you will not get the concept and you will struggle. Instead of clearing one, two paper, you will be stuck with only one paper, and that paper you might fail as well, right? So don't put pressure on yourself here. You are here not to clear papers but to learn concept. Always remember that if you have just cleared papers, you have no concept, then you are not going to clear in job interviews. Once again, CS2 you can combine with CP3. CS2 is also where I think some coding is required, R coding, maybe CS2 or maybe CS1. I think it is for CS2. And once again, it is a difficult paper. And if it is your second attempt, then you can combine with the CP3, which is much easier paper, much easier to clear. But remember always that CP2 you cannot start before, you should not start 1.5 months before the exam, and CP3 you should start 1 month before the exam, not 3 months before. Right. Other paper that you can combine, like suppose you are already done with those stage, the lower papers are already gone. Now you are left with only the higher papers. Then if you are appearing for SP1, you can combine CP3 or CP2, either one. Right. If you are appearing for SP2, you can combine either one. Do not attempt for three papers at the same time. Until unless probably you have failed SP1 once, you already know the concept, and or SP2 once, then you can combine three papers. But I never, although I have cleared three papers in one attempt, but I would never suggest anyone to do that, because that is even the three papers that I cleared. One paper was CV3, which is a which was called CT9 in our time, which is not that difficult paper. So I mean, you can do that, you can clear that, but uh, don't, like, once again, the stress is on learning concept but not on clearing papers. So remember that. But clearing paper is also important because you need to clear your papers at a certain speed. Otherwise, you'll be asked in an interview why your paper progress is so slow, right? So that also you have to counter, but you have to remember that you need conceptual clarity more important, right? Also, never combine SP2 and SP1 on first attempt. Now, SP2 and SP1, there is a lot of merit in combining this because there are around 18 chapters which are common. And there are many people who attempt SP2 and SP5, or SP1 and SP5, right? And so I personally feel that you should not do that if you want to appear for SP5 and SP6, right? And if your goal is maybe to appear for SS7, right, then only you should appear for SP5. And if you are combining any paper, you should combine SP5 and SP6. SP5 is kind of the investment paper, and SP6 is the derivatives paper, right? So if you are interested in stock market, if you are interested in trading, if you want to work for a fund house, and right now in India, these opportunities are very, very limited, right? In maybe in Europe, these opportunities are there. Otherwise, these opportunities are extremely limited in India. But if you still want to do that, then you should do that. Otherwise, I'll probably say that go for CFA, FRM. Those are probably much better, much well known in India for those sort of job or vacancies. And probably if you have done MBA from a good college, you will get hired by those companies. People will still not hire you because of your actual degree, but who knows, 5 years down the line, things might change, right? So it always never choose a field depending on what is the current trend. Always think what you like, and that trend will itself emerge. Because if you are thinking of something, the chances are there are 10 other people who also think of the same thing, and you can also create your own industry, right? But there is a lot of merit in combining SP1 and SP2. Both are insurance paper, right? And actuaries are known for insurance. Actuaries are known in insurance as well. So you should combine SP1 and SP2 only. And there are 18 chapters which are similar. So if you study SP1, you study SP2. But SP1 is much more difficult as compared to SP2. In fact, health insurance is much more difficult as compared to life insurance in a certain way. And because it has the complexities of life insurance, but it also has some challenges associated with the general insurance, which is like there are two reserves that you maintain, ALR and DLR. So that's why you need to understand a lot more. And Yeah, but never combine these two papers, irrespective of they having 18 chapters. Never combine this in first attempt. Suppose you have failed maybe SP2 twice or once, then you can also pick SP1, right? But otherwise, never combine this. Ideally, you should take SP2 and CP2, or SP2, SP1 and CP2. something like that, right? Yes, this I have already mentioned. CP1 should never be combined in any two papers with first attempt. Now, the crux of the higher paper lies in CP1. CP1 is the ultimate, higher paper. In fact, I personally feel there should not be any essay paper. The things should stop at SP level only, because CP paper covers everything. Right? Like there is one paper SP9 which many people write just for getting an extra designation called SERA, which I think that is not required. That is, once again, that is foolish to do so. That paper, personally, I have not gained anything by studying that paper. CPU on itself is like kind of much better as compared to that paper. As per me, people might have different opinion, right? And they are entitled to that. But I personally feel that CP1 is a paper that you should read thoroughly. That once again, the understanding of the concept should be there, and if you have clarity or over CP1, then you can probably, you can clear any paper, right? I personally would have probably started with CP1 as the first paper, right? But CP1 as the first paper may, like, if SP2 is there in your CV as compared to CP1, will get higher weightage in hiring, right? So because of that reason, many people start with SP2 or SP1, right? But yeah, CP1, it should not be combined with any other paper, at least for the first two attempts. You need to understand the concept, right? Moving on, CP1 and CP3 is also an ideal combo because CP1 has test. I think there are more than 40 chapters in CP1 or close to that. And CP3 is, once again, as I mentioned, communication paper. You can combine these two, right? And if you are preparing for CP1, maybe you are thinking that the first attempt I probably would not clear. Then, because it's a huge paper, you are writing higher paper for the first time. Then you can combine CP1 and CP3 in the second attempt. But in the first attempt, you should not combine CP1 with any paper, be it CP2 or CP3. Never combine CP1 with any paper. Learn the concept that you get in CP1. That will help you tremendously in the future papers and also in work. Yes. Now, second point is CV3. CV3 should be done with big papers like CM2 and CS2. Right? CM2 and CS2, these are tough papers. Now, CV3 is a assignment-based paper. There are three stages in which it can be done, and it's a very simple paper. So you can, it's very easy to clear. 70%, 80% is the passing rate. There is one trick associated with CV3, which I can't publicly disclose. So anyone who is probably appearing for CV3 can reach out to me for that trick. But CV3 can be done with CM2 and CS2, or the higher papers like CM1 or CS1 as well, right? Not higher paper; those are like the starting papers, those are like the main papers, right? You can do CV3 so that you clear one more paper. In fact, when I am starting, I would like when you are starting probably CM1, CS1, one paper that should, like, you are taking the feel of actually, right? So then you should not combine any other paper, right? Maybe for the first two attempts, and then like CM1 is done in your first attempt, CS1 is done in your second attempt, then you are coming to CM2, you can combine CV3, right? That's why I mentioned CV3 with CM2 and CS2 and not with CM1 and CS1. But you can also combine CV3 with maybe with, like, you are done with CM1 and CS1 is your second paper, you can also combine CV3 there. Once again, essay paper should not be combined with any paper. That's why this is coming in red. But if required, you can combine essay paper with CP3. Right? That is the only thing that you can do. But otherwise, it should not be combined, right? Because essay paper, especially if you are writing from India, it require you to memorize regulation. And to memorize regulation, you have to understand the regulation, right? Because that will help in work, and that's why you should not combine essay paper with other. Many people have asked me, can I combine SP2 and SA2? Right? I don't. I mean, I never suggest that. Do not do that until unless you have probably failed in SP2 for 6 times, so that you don't need to remember anything. Right? Only then you can combine. Otherwise, I think, and that's a very rare scenario. So don't ever combine essay paper with any other paper. So time frame, right? So CM1, CM2, CS2, CS1. These are the first four papers. You require 2 months of study, rigorous study, and 2 months of question solving, right? And question by question solving, I means that take out the revision note, solve the questions, right? From that revision note, you will also get a feel of chapters that are combined to create questions, right? So I think revision note is very important. And if you are hearing for about revision note for the first time, then it is available in Acted BPP site. You can Google Acted BPP. and you can purchase it from there, or it is also available from IAI and you can purchase it from there. I don't know, right? Earlier they used to send hard copies. I don't know if hard copies are available right now, but you probably require a hard copy. So if IA is not provide hard copy, it's better to import it from UK, even if you are paying some more amount for that. So that's what you require: CM1, CM2, CS2, CS1. These are tough papers. You need to give time to these papers. You need to develop your concept in these papers. Don't study these papers for clearing exam. That will come back to bite you, right? Like this coaching center suggest, I am 20 80% passing rate, 90% passing rate. That doesn't matter. 80% of those people, 80% are of those people are not employable. So don't go by that logic, right? Or so please understand the concept. Then only you should appear for the exam or clear the exam, and never cheat to clear the exam. You are doing a great harm to yourself if you cheat. CV series 1.5 months of study, right? As I mentioned, these papers are easy, and 2.5 months of question, because there might be, because this some questions are multiple choice, so there might be a lot of different variations. Some questions in like CB1 especially have some balance sheet questions that are that made me scratch my head, and I am not from commerce background, so maybe it was more difficult for me. But I mean, still you will get the hang of it, and need to give some time to those questions, right? I remember in CT, like it was called CT2 in my time, and there was like the paper that I appeared for. There was question on Priyanka, Ritik, Sachin, sort of questions like that, right? So the examiner was very very innovative in creating questions. So yeah, I mean, you need that much time, right? For SP series, now for the higher papers, you don't need to study the core material that much. So that's a 1 month of study is sufficient, and 2 months of question is sufficient, because I believe when you are writing your higher papers, you are working, right? So if you are working, you will not get 4 months of study time, right? And you will have more responsibilities. So you will get 3 months of study time, and you have to manage it accordingly. And for these higher papers, you are expected to have some workers that will also aid you in that, clearing that paper. CP1, I believe 6 months of study. I think one should give probably a year for CP1, right? So I have not taken one exam diet. So I assume that you will be appearing for CP1 for two exam diet, and 6 months of study, 3 months of question, right? As I mentioned, CP1 as per me is the most important actual paper, and you need to thoroughly understand the concept, because this is the paper that is most closer to the actual work that you will be doing, and that's why you need to understand, especially when you grow in your career, and that's why you need to understand this paper thoroughly, right? And CP2, as I mentioned, 1.5 months of question. You need not study anything else. And there are some questions like for CP2 you require whether what distribution something follows, whether there is a quarterly data given, can you convert it quickly to yearly data? So there are some tricks in Excel modeling that you need to know, right? Other than that, you need to solve 4 or 5 questions, right, on your own in time frame. That's sufficient. You need 1.5 months of question solving. That's sufficient. You need not start it from 3 months and repeating it again and again, because once again that is foolish and stupid to do so. Moving on, CP3, 1 month of questions is enough. Here it is also not numerical, right? So that much of time is sufficient. Your communication should be good. You need to, if you have understanding of your work, right, your communication anyways be good. People who are sort of what I say paper actuaries will have difficulty clearing CP3, but people who are proper actuaries would clear CP3 in one attempt. Essay, it depends, but I think 3 months of study is required, especially if you are applying for India. 3 months is a must, and 2 months of question solving, because in India the question level is also very very high for essay paper. For other papers, I will not say anything about the difference other than CT2 or CB1 maybe. The difference between IAI and IFA is visible. But other than these two paper, I think IFOA and IA has same standard of question. It's a misconception that IAI has difficult question as compared to IFOA. I think both the societies have difficult questions or standard questions, and they complement each other, right? So, but for essay paper from II is on a different level altogether, and I think the time period when I was talking about when I applied for CT2, the conceptual level for CT2 that is required to clear is very very tough as compared to an IFA paper. Most important points that I have kept on reiterating and reiterating and reiterating: papers are just basic informations. right? Any financial certification that you do is outdated. Any financial certification that you do is outdated. That is because you have to understand that financial certifications or financial work requires softwares. You need to understand the softwares, then only you are a full-fledged, sort of actuary or investment or trader or whatever, right? So anything that you study in theory is outdated long before it is put into the theory, right? And this world is very, very fast. It just adopts, and it progresses at a rapid pace. So anything that you have studied is probably obsolete right now. So papers are just basic information. Don't get bogged down by papers that I have cleared 10 papers, that person have cleared 20 papers, etc. Doesn't matter. What is required in actual work is your proper knowledge, your workable knowledge, and that will come by understanding softwares, how the things work in real life, what is the bigger picture. Paper will just aid you in reaching that level, but papers are just incomplete on its own. Right, as I mentioned, you need a lot more to become a good actually real work. As very basic use of paper knowledge. Few such areas where you can concentrate is like IFRS 17, Solvency 2, embedded value, IRDA, LSM regulations, Excel, advanced. Now, there are many times I have interviewed, asked people, what is your Excel level out of 10? How much 10 being the highest? How much will you rate yourself? They have replied 8, 9, and their actual level is 2 or 3, right? So the people think that they're advanced in Excel and they actually know nothing of Excel. Excel is such a vast and huge topic, right? And it's rapidly expanding. Even now it is expanding, right? VBA advanced, many people have very, very limited understanding in VBA. In fact, people who are working for a long time, I've seen people with 11 years, 12 years, 20 years of experience, people who are at appointed actual level know nothing about VBA. And this is one of the primary thing that you require in any financial domain, especially if you are in pricing vertical of life insurance. VB is a must, right? SQL rapidly gaining pace because of use of softwares like Python and R, right? Data science, SQL is must, right? You, even if you are building a website, SQL is must, because it pulls data, right? There is something called web scraping. So SQL is must. SQL is a necessary skill, but you don't need advanced level of SQL, right? But you need at least an intermediate level. At least you should know how to do joins, how to do queries, how to do inner query, etc. All of this you should know, right? So that's the end of this, right? So I think what I am like, I am planning to start my own coaching, and I'll start with some papers, and more of that will be in the announcement video tomorrow, because I have received multiple requests. Many people ask me, well, when are you starting your mentoring? When are you starting your mentoring? So I am at that phase, but I'll start slowly and see how the response is, and yeah, depending on that, right? And I don't want to degrade the quality by hiring multiple people. So I want to do it myself, or maybe one or two of my friends or whom I trust. So yeah, I'll start it slowly, and slowly I'll cover all the papers. But once again, you have to understand, this is the point, right? For me, I never appeared for any coaching in papers. So right now, but I understand that this is now a trend. Everyone appears for coaching. So the best thing, although I'm going to start my own coaching, the best thing for you would be never to take any coaching, right? Those are the best actuaries. But if you still want to go for something, you can explore and wait for the announcement video for tomorrow. So thanks for watching this video. Please hit the like button. This video deserves a lot of share, because there are a lot of misconceptions in the market, and many coaching center augments those misconceptions. So be cautious about that. Use your own brain. Don't trust anyone. That includes me as well. And try to think if what I'm saying is logical, or if what someone else is saying is logical, and follow that. Right? So see you in future videos. Thanks for watching this video, and please hit like and share and subscribe.